Hey everyone, this amazing ESO Network show is brought to you by our fine sponsor, Amazon.com. Please remember to shop Amazon for all your geeky needs, no matter what time of the year it is. All you need to do is go to esopodcast.com/ESO Amazon, or click on the Amazon banner on the ESO Network webpage to go to our e-store. It's the best way to shop and the best way to support this program, and it doesn't cost you anything extra. Okay, that's enough of me babbling for now. Now on with your regular scheduled show.
Are you ready to rock?
This is where the world of pop culture and talk collide.
Hey, how you doing, kids?
This is the Adam and JP Show.
It's the Adam and JP Show. I'm Jay Patrick. That's Adam. We're continuing our discussion of action movie idols. And if you go to the Internet Movie Database and you ask the Internet Movie Database, tell me the greatest action stars of all time, this next guy comes up at number 15 on the list.
And who would that be?
Jean-Claude Van Damme.
Number 15? That's kind of low if you ask me.
Really?
Yeah.
You have discovered this week that you're a bigger Jean-Claude Van Damme fan than you think you are.
I've always loved, I would say my first action movie I ever saw, if I have a memory of it, would be Bloodsport.
Yeah.
That's the first one I have any memory of actually watching. So from the get-go, he's been very near and dear to my heart, Jean-Claude Van Damme has.
What's interesting with him is it's a real mix of martial arts and guns.
Yeah. And he's a martial artist that's also very muscled up. It's as if Schwarzenegger himself had lost a little bit of muscle mass and learned the art of Kung Fu and a very good knowledge of it.
Right.
I mean, the guy's splits alone are amazing.
There was the commercial he was on just a couple of years ago.
Oh, yeah.
Where he was on the two semis doing the
yeah.
splits. I don't know if he really did that.
It's still pretty awesome. So yeah, Bloodsport, 1988 comes out. I think I saw that pretty fresh out of the theaters because I was young.
Yeah.
Like I said, born in 84, so 88, 89-ish would have made me 4 or 5. That may be the first action movie I ever saw, and to this day, I can sit down in its entirety from start to finish, watch Bloodsport, and not think twice about it. I love it so much.
Of course, there was Kickboxer.
Right, Kickboxer was awesome. Cyborg in the same year of 89.
Yeah.
Both of those two.
And then Universal Soldier with
yeah.
Dolph Lundgren. Wasn't he in the original Universal Soldier? Where they're just cybernetic soldiers from the future?
That was those two. Don't forget, like you said, Kickboxer, Lionheart. Did you ever see Lionheart before?
I've seen Lionheart.
So what's cool to me about these movies, usually it's almost the exact same story. All of my favorite Jean-Claude Van Damme movies have kind of the same story. It's almost an underground boxing or fighting or kickboxing ring. And he always has this, it's like a video game. You have these levels you go through, the montages of ass-kicking. Usually someone along the way, be it a brother, a best friend, or even a love interest, gets hurt and hospitalized somewhere along the way. Mm-hmm. And he has to seek revenge against that main bad guy. And as fate would have it, the final boss he has to fight is the biggest badass in the world, and he always takes them down.
Well, it's interesting that you kind of draw that parallel of the final boss because Jean-Claude Van Damme was also in Street Fighter.
Right, exactly.
The Street Fighter, the movie.
Exactly, as Guile himself. But apparently for Jean-Claude Van Damme's first movie ever is from 1986 called No Retreat, No Surrender. And I had not...
No retreat,
I had not seen this at all until a few short days ago. But if you want to watch right now, the final fight scene in full high definition of No Retreat, No Surrender is on YouTube. And I highly recommend everyone to watch that, because I was blown away. It was fantastic. Had the perfect amount of 80s cheesiness, but at the same time, it was so badass. And he is the main villain, by the way. He is the final boss in the boss battle in this instance. But check out No Retreat, No Surrender.
Oh, wow.
It was so good. I'm telling you, so good.
I love time travel.
Right, yeah.
Jean-Claude Van Damme starred in the movie that answered the question, what if a bad guy went back in time and gave automatic weapons to the South in the Civil War?
Right.
Time Cop.
Yeah, Time Cop it is.
Which, to me, is kind of underrated as a time travel movie.
It's a good one.
It's such a fun adventure.
It's a good one.
Because, and it's simple in the name, too. It tells you exactly what it is.
Right.
Jean-Claude Van Damme is a time cop.
Yeah. That's what it is. Bam. 2 words right there.
When people mess with time travel, Jean-Claude Van Damme goes to fix it.
Yeah. Like we said, 94, the Street Fighter, and they had a video game based off of that, which that video game was a video game off a video game, if you're still with me. But it was pretty rough. At the time, I loved it. I was young, a huge fan of the Street Fighter series, and I was a huge fan of Jean-Claude, so the fact that he was Guile, it was odd to me. They made him the main character of the movie, but I'll take it. I'll take JCVD as Guile anytime of the day.
And no relation to Rob Van Dam.
Right. At first, they looked kind of similar, but as time happened and age took its toll on both of them, they're not so recognizable now. Did you ever see Sudden Death from 1995?
I have seen Sudden Death.
Imagine in the world of professional hockey, as if someone took the whole arena hostage, and Jean-Claude Van Damme is the man to save your day. That would be the plot of Sudden Death.
Now, there's a rumor. I don't know how much truth there is to this, but there's a rumor that he was supposed to be in Predator.
Really? As like one of the little lackeys, one of the Carl Weathers characters?
Well, I think he was supposed to be the star of Predator.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
But there's conflicting stories through the Hollywood mythology that either Jean-Claude Van Damme was supposed to star in Predator and backed out, or he was going to be the actor inside the Predator suit.
Really?
And then backed out of that.
So he was the Ray Park of his day, pretty much.
Pretty much.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
Huh.
But so you feel that maybe Jean-Claude Van Damme doesn't get the love that he deserves?
Yeah, I don't know why. The muscles from Brussels, they call him. He's fantastic. Got a early start at a young age, and I think his film career from 86 there to 95, like that one decade, it was kind of concentrated. But damn, man, it's like 10 good movies in 10 years.
He always was he was almost like Steven Seagal had some pretty big hits, but it's almost like Jean-Claude Van Damme was the almost action hero.
Yeah.
Like the movies people saw, but he never had, you can't point to a Terminator or a Rambo for Jean-Claude. They are all kind of B-level.
Once again, they're all, I mean, in a way because I like them, but all the stories, it could be a 10-part series. A lot of those stories have the exact same underground fighting ring. Has to face the final boss battle. It's all the same story, but I love it for the most part. Did you ever see Double Impact by chance?
I've seen Double Impact.
With long hair and short.
See, when you're in college in the 90s, you watch a lot of, well, there were videotapes then. But,
yeah.
So I've seen
Double Impact sounds like a different kind of movie you would watch in college, actually.
That's true, but it's not. It's action, adventure.
Yeah, sure, let's call it that. Adult action adventure. And finally, we got to talk about JCVD, the actual movie. Did you ever see that by chance?
I have not seen that, but I want to see it.
Semi-quasi documentary, but it's a fictional documentary. It's pretty awesome.
Isn't it on Amazon now?
It used to be on Netflix when it first came out. It was on Netflix is where I watched it.
Or is he trying to do... No, there's an Amazon series kind of along the same lines.
Really?
Where he plays himself, but it's fictionalized in the sense that being the action star that he is would be the perfect undercover agent for the government. So it's real-life Jean-Claude Van Damme in a fictional role as Jean-Claude Van Damme as an undercover agent.
Interesting.
I think that's the plot.
Okay.
I could be wrong.
Yeah.
But I think that's the plot of the Amazon movie.
But if you haven't seen all these movies, go back and check out the catalog. There are funny videos if you look up Jean-Claude Van Damme on YouTube. There's one of him dancing with someone in a different country. It's like a game show. He's dancing with a female in there, and he gets an erection, and he's embarrassed about it. He has to bend over and not show the crowd. It's pretty funny.
And this has actually happened.
This is real. It's on YouTube. It's like a game show or a talk show. It's the closing credits, and he's dancing. She's rubbing up on him. He's like, yeah, and she walks away, and he's like, ugh. He hunches his back over so the crowd can't see it. It's pretty funny.
So this isn't fictionalized?
No, this is a real late night show.
Oh, wow.
I didn't mean to discredit his Hollywood career, but great movies by Jean-Claude Van Damme. I love him.
Sticking with the martial arts, another guy that came along through the martial arts and action movies of the mid to late 80s, Chuck Norris.
Oh, yes.
And really parlayed that into a franchise, a Chuck Norris franchise. I think Chuck Norris is maybe the only franchise on our list here.
Yeah, I think so.
Because he's just Chuck Norris.
Yeah. I think the only movie I've seen him in is Delta Force. That's it. When I think of a Chuck Norris movie, I can't think of that.
Missing in Action, Invasion USA. If you want to go back and see what I would call one of the greatest action movies of the 80s, you can quote me on that. It would be on my list of top 5.
Really?
Invasion USA.
Really?
It's a great Chuck Norris action.
No, I do love
romp.
I do love Sidekicks.
Oh yeah, see, he even went to the
exactly went comedy route.
Went the comedy route with Sidekicks.
Yeah,
and then parlayed the Chuck Norris mania into Walker, Texas Ranger.
Yes, and
which ran for something like 8 seasons.
Yeah, from 93 to 2001.
Wow.
Yeah, and it says it came back for a short run 2005. However that happened.
I'm sure it will come back too.
It was once again, it was from the get-go very serious, but so bad people latched onto it because it was so bad, I believe.
Right.
You remember Conan used to have the lever, like the Walker Texas Ranger lever?
Yeah. He would just pull the lever and a random Walker Texas Ranger clip would play.
And they're always so ridiculous. Out of context, but I believe even in context they would be ridiculous.
My dad watched a lot of Walker.
My dad, did too.
So I would, through osmosis, see quite a bit of Walker Texas Ranger through the years.
I've watched 2 full episodes today before I did this recording. Too full. On YouTube, once again, YouTube is a magical land.
What is it about that show that it was so long-lasting? It just found that audience.
It was outrageous. I don't know. It was just so over the top.
It's truly in the vein of the cheesy action movies of the 80s.
Oh, without a doubt. I mean,
or action TV shows.
The episode I saw was, I think, season 8 or 9. I mean, it was late in there, so we're talking it's in the 2000s, but it was as if it was shot in the mid-80s. They're at this banquet to celebrate someone's promotion in the Texas Ranger department, and all the servants, like the servers of this banquet, were bad terrorists, and so they're all doing their stuff, and they come out and bring these dishes out and throw the covers of the dishes up, and they all have machine guns shooting in the air.
Oh, wow.
It's in slow motion, and Walker's taking people down to save them from behind the podium.
Did he ride a horse?
Not in this one.
Oh.
Roundhouse kicks galore, though.
Oh.
Yeah.
He is the king of the roundhouse kick.
Yeah, he is.
He even had a cartoon in the late 80s.
Oh, yeah. I have some Chuck Norris action figures still.
Yeah, Chuck Norris Karate Commandos was a short-lived children's cartoon.
Right.
Because if the kids love missing in action, then they're gonna go crazy for Chuck Norris Karate Commandos.
And Chuck Norris is a good time. Once again, I did a lot of research. We both did this past week or so. And with this came a knowledge I never knew before. Most action stars, after their action career, sometimes during that, become very political. And 90% of the time, very hardcore Republican side.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about, I'm sure, Bruce Willis in a bit. Chuck Norris. Schwarzenegger himself was Republican. Stallone gives money to. It's odd.
Mel Gibson.
It's odd they give money and are very vocal about who they support. And like I said, 90% of the time, it's for the right. It's for the right.
My favorite part of the Golden Globes this year was when Meryl Streep was giving her anti-Trump speech.
Yeah.
Well, she never mentioned Trump.
Right. Never said the T word.
Right.
Yeah.
But was giving her her speech. It kind of pans over to Vince Vaughn and Mel Gibson sitting together. And they just have this deadpan look on their face.
Is Vince Vaughn that way as well?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Like everybody's up on their feet, like cheering, and it just kind of pans, and there's Vince Vaughn and Mel Gibson. It's pretty funny.
But isn't that an odd correlation? Most 80s and 90s action characters or actors are very vocal about their political views and always have the same values. It's interesting.
Mm-hmm. And obviously Chuck Norris is skilled at martial arts.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
But kind of like Jean-Claude Van Damme, you don't take the martial arts aspect of them as seriously as you probably should. Because Chuck Norris, he studied martial arts while in the military in Korea.
Right.
He was stationed in Korea. Mm-hmm. He was in the military, started studying martial arts there, came back to the States, trained with Bruce Lee. Like, he often worked with Bruce Lee in training and would do a lot of Hollywood, not stunt work, but like training, Hollywood stunt training. And he worked with Steve McQueen. And it was actually Steve McQueen that encouraged Chuck Norris to get into acting.
Didn't know that.
Yeah. But, I mean, these guys really do take the martial arts stuff seriously. Jackie Chan, Chuck Norris, Jean-Claude Van Damme.
So we've spoken of all, I believe, action movie fighters. This may be a good time to bring this question up. Between Arnold Schwarzenegger, Sylvester Stallone, we'll even throw Clint Eastwood in there. We'll say we've spoken of Steven Seagal a little bit. Jean-Claude Van Damme, Chuck Norris, Bruce Lee, and Jackie Chan. Between all of those, in their prime, who wins in a fight?
I think just go to chucknorrisfacts.com and you'll see.
If you want to.
That's what I love. I think that is the lasting legacy of Chuck Norris.
Yeah.
Or the random Chuck Norris facts.
I wonder what he thinks about that.
I think he loves it.
Think so?
I mean, wouldn't you?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Adam Facts.
Yeah, I love that.
2017.
But honestly, I mean, fist for fist, who wins?
Bruce Lee.
You think so?
Bruce Lee.
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think he was just so disciplined.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was just obvious how disciplined he was.
Yeah.
That I think of all those. Because, Schwarzenegger or Stallone, they've got the muscle.
Right.
But that might slow them down a little bit in an
true.
actual fight.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
True.
Yeah, I'm going with Bruce Lee.
Okay.
Who's next on our list? Let's talk about Mel Gibson.
Let's do that.
Mel Gibson came around.
Not a fighter, but a lover.
Well, I guess it depends on who you are. Mel Gibson, born in New York State.
Right.
And then his family moved to Australia, and he grew up in Australia. Thus, the accent,
right,
that he's never
doesn't have any. Yeah, well, kind of. Yeah.
Well, he can tone it down.
He has that Schwarzenegger filter he actually uses. Schwarzenegger can't.
Oscar-nominated director,
right,
and came. I guess he wasn't in an American-made movie until 1984. He was in Mad Max, but even in Mad Max, his voice was dubbed over by an American actor in the original cut. when it was brought to the United States. But when he actually made a movie in the United States, it was Bounty with Anthony Hopkins in 1984. And then he went on to do the Lethal Weapon series, continued the Mad Max series, and then kind of got on that history.
Yeah, he did, yeah.
That history kick
Braveheart,
in the 90s.
The Patriot. And,
yeah. And then did the Ransom movies.
Right. I was a Ransom fan. It was pre-Taken.
Yeah. Ransom was good.
Now, Payback. The cover art for Payback reminds me of Ransom. Is that a sequel? It's not.
No.
It was almost the exact same look, the same...
At the same
everything.
time.
Yeah.
And it could have been 1 year after the other.
Yeah.
But Payback is totally different than Ransom. Ransom
Okay.
is his kids kidnapped.
Right.
Payback is he's trying to get payback on he's kind of a scoundrel.
Yeah.
And so he's trying to get payback on another bad guy.
It's weird. I saw this like the day it came out in the movie Rental Place. The Ransom came out in 1996, which means I was 12 years old. Why in the hell did I have any interest in seeing Ransom when I was 12? But
Because it was Mel Gibson.
I guess so.
Because it was Mel Gibson.
The day it came out, I snagged it up. You know, they had like the 30 copies there.
Uh-huh.
One of the last ones. I was so excited for Ransom.
I contend that as far as action adventure series or franchise, whatever you want to call it, you don't get any better than the Lethal Weapon
Right.
series.
Yeah.
That even especially that first one where he's the kind of suicidal cop, the loose cannon.
Yeah.
I think Mel Gibson plays the loose cannon cop better than anybody. Could be a reason for that.
Yeah, maybe so.
But in that original, just in the chemistry between Mel Gibson and Danny Glover is fantastic in that. And even in Lethal Weapon 2 in 1989. And it continued. The last Lethal Weapon movie, I think they knew was going to be the last Lethal Weapon movie, so it seems kind of like a family film.
Was it 3 or 4 with Pesci? Which one had Pesci? 3 or 4?
Pesci was the third one.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's when he joined. But he's in the fourth one.
I'm a Pesci guy.
well.
The older I get, the more I'm a Pesci guy.
Yeah. He's pretty funny.
Yeah.
He was full, it was full Pesci in Lethal Weapon 3.
Full Pesci, huh?
The stunts in Lethal Weapon 2. And we should give some props to Richard Donner.
Yeah.
Richard Donner is an action adventure director. Was one of the, I think, icons through the 1980s, and was probably the precursor to the Jerry Bruckhammers and Michael Bay's of the 90s. But Richard Donner directed that original Lethal Weapon movie.
Right, yeah.
And did a fantastic job with it, and really established the buddy cop genre of the mid to late 1980s.
Once again, did you ever see Loaded Weapon? Did you ever see that?
Yeah, that's true.
I liked it.
And I think conspiracy theory in the 90s is underrated with Julia Roberts and Patrick Stewart. Patrick Stewart plays, well, I don't want to spoil his character.
Don't spoil it.
But he's in the movie.
Well, you kind of just spoiled it.
Well, how did I spoil it?
Okay, never mind.
Yeah, he's in the movie.
He's there.
And Mel Gibson, once again, plays this kind of crazy character.
He's always a crazy character in the works, right?
Well, he was in the Beaver just a couple of years ago, where he plays a crazy guy that walks around.
Oh, yeah.
He's dealing with his grief.
I forgot about that.
Through a puppet beaver that he carries with him.
Because, well, like you said, he had many action movies, but in the mid to late 90s, he had, remember The Man Without a Face?
Yes.
Remember What Women Want?
Uh-huh.
These movies are all going away from that action vein, but kind of, just, I guess, good acting. He's trying for those award-winning roles, maybe?
And he was in one of my favorite M. Night Shyamalan movies.
Oh, you're a Signs fan,
Signs.
huh? Yeah.
I love Signs.
Big Signs fan, eh?
I like his character in Signs. And before that, to me, one of the successful movies based off a television series was Maverick.
Oh, yeah.
And he plays Maverick, Brett Maverick, in the movie adaptation.
And it wasn't comedic, not so much.
I mean, it's got some funny parts to it.
Yeah, but it wasn't a comedy.
But just that character in general, you know, the way James Garner played Maverick on the TV show was kind of a comedic character. So he just kind of continued that. And then James Garner co-stars in the movie.
Yeah.
He's not Maverick, but he's actually in the movie. And a lot of country music singers.
Were they really?
And Jodie Foster.
Yeah, I remember her.
Jodie Foster's in it,
Yeah.
and a lot, like Travis Tritt is in it.
Oh, yeah.
There's a lot. I think Clint Black is in it.
Oh, wow, I forgot about them in there.
They really targeted the country music audience.
Another crowd.
With Maverick. He did a movie in the early 90s that I remember I was in high school when it came out. And it was one of those where you got to go to the movie in the middle of the day because it was a field trip movie. And it was when Mel Gibson did his version of Hamlet.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Huh.
A movie version. Kind of,
never saw that.
Not a modern version because it was Elizabethan times, but a more contemporary version of Hamlet.
Weird.
Starring Mel Gibson, which I enjoyed. I thought it was really good.
Yeah.
I enjoyed Air America with Robert Downey Jr. If you've seen that one. So yeah, he's a true movie icon.
Yes.
But let's talk about what Mel Gibson decided to do in the early 2000s. And I guess he went through some sort of personal growth.
Something changed, something clicked somewhere, be it for the better or for worse. It happened.
And he sank a bunch of money, $25 million of his own money, as a matter of fact, to make a movie that would become critically acclaimed and award nominated, The Passion of the Christ. Mm-hmm. Have you seen The Passion of the Christ?
I've not seen that, no.
That is a hard movie to watch.
That's what I hear. That's why I don't watch it.
It is a hard movie to watch. It, obviously the story of the crucifixion, the last days of Christ and the crucifixion of Christ.
Yeah.
And Mel Gibson directed it. And when you read the stories of what he did with that movie, it would just be interesting to see personally where he was, because he's not in the movie. His hand appears in the movie. And there's a scene when Christ is being nailed to the cross, and one of the hands nailing, the nails into Christ is Mel Gibson.
Really?
And he purposely did that because he said he felt like, as humanity, we put Christ on the cross. So he felt it necessary to be one of the hands, nailing the nails into Christ. So it's if you can stand it, like it's very moving, regardless of your religious beliefs. It's a very moving film to watch. There's a rumor, on a happier note, that Mel Gibson was considered for 1989's Batman.
Really?
To portray Bruce Wayne and Batman.
I love Michael Keaton, but that could have worked.
Because when Warner Brothers started the idea of doing a Batman movie, like a serious Batman movie, they turned to the director of the original Superman movie, which was Richard Donner,
right,
who had already established history with Mel Gibson. And so Mel Gibson was highly considered. He was almost Bruce Wayne. The only reason why he wasn't Batman is that they ended up going with Tim Burton, and then Richard Donner went to do Lethal Weapon 2, and
the Beetlejuice tie-in.
Mel Gibson went with him.
Mm-hmm.
So that's pretty interesting.
Weird.
A name we haven't mentioned yet that kind of spans the 80s and 90s, actually the 70s, 80s, and 90s, Harrison Ford.
Right.
Do you consider Harrison Ford an action movie star?
So when I first did this research, I thought, no, why am I even doing this for him? But as I did more research and thought about the movies I already knew he was in, definitely, yeah.
Yeah.
I think so. Maybe not as iconic as the top 3 or 4 guys, but he belongs in the top list for sure.
Well, Star Wars, I'm hesitant to call Star Wars an action-adventure movie because it's a space opera.
Yeah.
It's a space adventure.
There's still battles and explosions and scenes and
right.
signs of heroism. That's still from him.
But, he's obviously Han Solo in the Star Wars movies, and then went on to become Indiana Jones in the Raiders movies.
I mean, 2 iconic
Indiana
characters
Jones
right
movies.
there. 2 action-ish characters right there.
Harrison Ford, as an actor, made more money at the box office. His movies garnered more money at the box office than any other actor in the 20th century.
Really? That makes sense. I mean, he's been in... Spielberg and Lucas love him. That makes sense.
And now, with the second Blade Runner movie that's coming out this year, he's the star of the Blade Runner series.
Yeah.
Now, you have to go back to 1982 to get the first one. But yeah, he's got the Blade Runner movies, the Indiana Jones movies, and then he would pop up with these great action movies along the way. Well, the Clancy movies.
Right, yeah.
When Alec Baldwin left after The Hunt for Red October, like the role of Jack Ryan was offered to Harrison Ford for The Hunt for Red October. He turned it down, and I think Tom Clancy was pretty happy that he turned it down because he thought Harrison Ford was too old to play Jack Ryan.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm. Even at that time, in the late 80s. And so when they came along to do Patriots game, Alec Baldwin didn't return, so they were able to get Harrison Ford. So that's how you get Harrison Ford in a couple of Clancy movies.
Okay.
But The Fugitive.
Love The Fugitive.
Once again, a TV property that was taken seriously that ended up being successful.
Yeah.
And it was just, I think it was the chemistry, even though they're not on screen a lot, it's the chemistry between Harrison Ford's Richard Kimball and Tommy Lee Jones' U.S. Marshal.
Once again, Tommy Lee Jones playing the exact same character. That is Harvey Dent before he got burned.
Similar.
It's the husband from Coal Miner's Daughter. I don't mind it. You think it's an insult I'm giving? It's a compliment.
It's a little different, though.
I like his style so much. It can be the exact same for every character, and I still like it.
It is interesting that he's kind of the Southern fried U.S. Marshal.
He's man of the house that has the fraternity he's in charge of, but he's a sheriff marshal.
This is my happy face.
This is my happy face.
But when The Fugitive came out, Fugitive nominated. Well, I know Tommy Lee Jones was nominated for Best Supporting Actor. Mm-hmm. I don't think Harrison Ford was actually nominated. I thought that was a fantastic movie.
It was good.
And then Air Force One, where he plays the president. Once again, and Gary Oldman's the bad guy.
Oh, yeah.
The terrorist that takes over his...
we should do an episode of top villainous actors of all time. He's going to be number one. He has to be.
Oh, that would be good.
Yeah.
But I like even the more serious stuff that Harrison Ford's done over the years. Like, I'm a big fan of Witness.
Never saw that one.
I think Witness is a fantastic movie.
Yeah.
He basically goes undercover to with the Amish in this Amish community. Witness is good. Now, I haven't seen Ender's Game, one of his more recent
I haven't
ones. But I did see Cowboys and Aliens.
Ooh, yeah. Forgot about that one. Wow.
In 2011.
How was that?
I enjoyed Cowboys and Aliens.
Yeah.
He plays kind of this... He plays a cowboy.
Yeah.
And aliens show up. That's pretty much it.
Yeah. Now, almost 30 years removed between his Han Solo performances. Do you think he has enough acting chops to come back like he did in The Force Awakens and still portray that character of Han Solo properly? 30 years removed, do you think he did a good job of that?
Oh, I think he did.
Okay, yeah.
I think it was written for an older Han Solo.
It's got to be tough to have that character you're known for in 3 decades later come back and expect to nail it like you never missed a day.
Yeah, because you know what the difference in The Force Awakens and that last Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull?
What do you think that was?
The writing.
Right.
The writing for The Force Awakens was done for an older Harrison Ford. The writing for Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull was done for Indiana Jones, ageless Indiana Jones, with some jokes about him being old thrown in. And I think that's the difference in those two movies, or him in those two movies. Because he's got acting chops.
Yeah, yeah.
All you have to do is go see The Mosquito Coast, or Presumed Innocent, or Witness, or even Blade Runner. And you see the acting chops of Harrison Ford. Oh, well, go back to American Graffiti.
Yeah.
When he plays the street racer in American Graffiti.
Yeah.
I mean, he's got the chops.
I think he's one of the first guys actually cast in Star Wars. Every single audition tape I see of the first Star Wars, the old black and white audition tapes, they're always reading with Harrison Ford as Han Solo. So it makes me believe he was one of the first guys cast in that role.
But he was not George Lucas' original pick.
Really?
Well, he didn't want to cast Harrison Ford.
Really?
And apparently George Lucas went through a bunch of actors and then finally came back to Harrison Ford.
That's funny.
Did the same thing for Indiana Jones.
Huh.
I've got some audio here. It's Harrison Ford from 1982, an appearance on Late Night with David Letterman, the original David Letterman show. And he's talking about, kind of the fame that comes with being in the Star Wars movies and then also being cast in the Indiana Jones movies.
You can go into a dime store in this country and see, maybe a thermal mug, a lunchbox, with your face on it, right? As any one of your characters. Does that, when you're going by and you see an Indiana Jones mug or something, does that, what is that?
Nothing. I don't take it personally. I don't have any relationship to it. I can't figure out what it has to do with me.
Yeah. Yeah, and do you get, maybe this is not a question.
But I steal them.
Do you get any...
And then I tell them that it's me, and it's a very involved process.
Do you get any dough for that? For appearing your likeness on those mugs?
Let's not talk about money.
Okay. Let's talk about something else then. Now, when you first worked with George Lucas, was it in American Graffiti?
Yeah.
Does this make you feel odd that you were not his first choice for that film either?
No.
Yeah.
No, it wouldn't have occurred to me that I didn't even know about the project. I didn't know Spielberg. And it didn't occur to me that I would have a chance of doing it for the same reason you just mentioned.
Do you know anybody who was in the running before you got it?
For Raiders?
Mm-hmm.
Just Tom Selleck.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm.
Two things. One, Harrison Ford has always been awkward in interviews.
Yeah, he has, hasn't he?
You get the sense from the audio, go watch the video. It's like a 12-minute interview And you can find it on YouTube.
Yeah.
And he talks about that. It was when Blade Runner was about to come out. I think it was the week Blade Runner was released in 82. 2, Tom Selleck was almost Indiana Jones?
That's weird. It seems like...
I've heard that before.
Really?
Yeah.
I never had. It seems like Harrison Ford would be more, I don't know, more just happy with what his point in life, maybe? It's just so weird.
You see how he became that voice as he got older.
Yeah.
Because he's just got that spirit.
Yeah.
He's just always had an elderly spirit.
Yeah.
I don't think about it. I don't do
It's weird. It's so weird.
He had a brief appearance in E.T. They got cut from the movie.
Really? Wow.
Do you remember in E.T. when E.T. is drinking beer? He's drinking the Coors at home.
Yeah.
And then Elliot is getting drunk at school because they have the symbiotic connection.
Oh, yeah.
And so Elliot is acting drunk and he frees the frogs.
Uh-huh.
There's a scene where they take Elliot to the principal's office. Harrison Ford is the principal.
That's funny.
Steven Spielberg cut it because he felt like Harrison Ford showing up in the middle of the E.T. movie would take away from the rest of the movie.
Oh, really?
Like everybody would have been talking about Harrison Ford's in the E.T. movie, not the movie itself. He never signed a contract for the Star Wars movies.
I remember hearing that, yeah.
He did all those movies without ever signing a contract for. They just hoped he would return.
That's why he was frozen at the end of Empire Strikes Back. He said he wanted to read the script of Jedi before he agreed to come back. What the hell, man?
And we mentioned Air Force One. He actually replaced Kevin Costner. Like Kevin Costner was originally cast to be the president in Air Force One. Guess what movie Kevin Costner was off making that he couldn't be in Air Force One?
What's that?
The Postman.
Oh, man. One of the biggest flops of all time.
If you're looking back at Kevin Costner, like, I could have been in The Postman.
Yeah.
Or I could have been in Air Force One. Instead, I made The Postman. Another one of my long 3-hour...
Yeah. Poor Kevin Costner. He could have done so much. He could have been on this list.
Yeah.
But with Waterworld and The Postman, not so much.
Nope. We're gonna come back. We're gonna finish through the 90s and then talk some about the action movie stars of today.
Let's do it.
Okay, auditions for the new Earth Station Who co-host. Take one. Go ahead.
Hello, Stonehenge. Who takes the Pandora Cup, takes the universe. But, bad news everyone, 'cause guess who? Ha. Listen, you lot you're all whizzing about. It's really very distracting. Could you all just stay still a minute because I am talking?
Not too shabby. Can you close this up?
Earth Station Who, a fun mashup celebrating over 50 years of the Doctor Who universe. You never know where the TARDIS is going to go next. Earth Station Who podcast can be found at www.earthstationwho.com. Earth Station Who is a proud member of the ESO network. We are up on Facebook, iTunes, Stitcher Radio, or wherever fine podcasts are found. Peace, and we are done. Did I pass the audition?
We'll get back to you. Next.
Come out to the coast. We'll get together, have a few laughs.
Mayday, mayday. Anyone copying Channel 9? Terrorists have seized the Nakatomi building and are holding at least 30 people hostage. I repeat, unknown number of terrorists, 6 or more, armed with automatic weapons at Nakatomi Plaza, Century City.
Attention, whoever you are. This channel is reserved for emergency calls only.
No fucking shit, lady! Do I sound like I'm ordering a pizza?
Now I have a machine gun. Ho, ho, ho.
Just another American who saw too many movies as a child. Another orphan of a bankrupt culture who thinks he's John Wayne, Rambo, Marshall Dillon.
I was always kind of partial to Roy Rogers, actually. I really like those sequin shirts.
Do you really think you have a chance against us, Mr. Cowboy?
Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker.
Of course.
That's awesome.
Bruce Willis. And Alan Rickman.
Right, yeah.
From Die Hard.
Yeah.
Which, if we would ever do the villains, you got to do Alec Rickman.
He should be, yeah.
You know, Hans Gruber,
Right.
Snape from the Harry Potter movies.
Should be on there for sure.
Kind of a villain.
Yeah.
Have you seen Die Hard, the 1980? I want to say we've had this conversation.
I don't think
you
I
haven't
have
seen all of Die Hard.
So I don't have any full memory of it. I've seen the clips and know the characters' names and what happens, but I don't think I've seen the movie from start to finish.
What a fantastic treat that movie was in 1988. Just out of nowhere, you have Bruce Willis, who's from Moonlighting, and you know he did while doing Moonlighting, he did his album,
right?
Which we laugh. But when he did Respect Yourself, it reached number 5 on the Billboard Hot 100
crazy.
in 1987. So it's a top 10 hit. And then he goes on and he just becomes this. I mean, he doesn't look like an action guy. You don't when you watch Moonlighting, you don't think that's an action star.
Not at all.
And then he just becomes an action star in that first Die Hard movie. Just the way it's shot. I mean, Alan Rickman is the bad guy. I would put that as one of my favorite action movies of all time.
And Christmas movies of all time.
And Christmas movies. With just the lines. I mean, unlike a Schwarzenegger, they're cheesy, but they seem much cooler when Bruce Willis does. Maybe that's it. Maybe he just had that air of kind of a cool guy that he was able to parlay into action.
Were you a fan of the sequels as much as the original?
I liked Die Hard 2. I liked because Fred Thompson was in it.
Oh, yeah. See, I have seen that. Okay, I remember that part. Yeah.
But it's kind of, I don't know, it seems like it was made to be a sequel to Die Hard. You know, the same thing basically happens. Terrorists take over an airport while he's there instead of the Nakatomi Plaza Tower. Die Hard 3, I love. Because that's the one with Samuel Jackson in it. And the two of them, it's almost like a buddy cop. Well, rumor is it was supposed to be Beverly Hills Die Hard crossover.
Really?
And then it never worked with Eddie Murphy because in the original script, Eddie Murphy would have got shot halfway through, and then it would just been a Die Hard movie. And so they apparently reworked that script to make Die Hard 3. I like that one. That one and the first one are probably my favorites. Die Hard 4, I'm trying to think. Is that Live Free or Die Hard?
I believe. Have there been 4 or 5 now?
I think there's been 5. Live Free or Die Hard. That's the one Kevin Smith is in, right?
I think so.
Where the hacker takes down the power grid.
Right. I believe so.
Yeah, and they have to find like the hacker who's in the basement, and it turns out to be Kevin Smith.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's Live Free or Die Hard. I like to Live Free or Die Hard. And then the last one was...
A Good Day to Die Hard was the last one.
A Good Day to Die Hard.
Okay.
Live Free or Die Hard, but there's Die Hard with a Vengeance. That's the second one, right?
Yeah, so there's... Wow. So Live Free or Die Hard came out in 2007, and A Good Day to Die Hard came out in 2013. Okay.
Yeah, that one's pretty good. That one's his son.
Yeah.
His son is kind of the main focus of that one.
Right.
It's okay, but I thought Live Free or Die Hard was really good. And Die Hard with a Vengeance was the second one?
The third one.
The third one.
Yeah.
So Die Hard 2 was just the second
one?
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. But in addition to the Die Hard franchise, you had Pulp Fiction.
Right.
I love his character in Pulp Fiction in the mid-90s.
Oh, it's great, yeah.
The Fifth Element.
Oh, yeah.
With, was it Mila Jovovich?
Yeah. And Gary Oldman again.
And Gary Oldman again, that's right. Oh, Gary Oldman's great in that one, too.
Yeah, he is.
Just that creepy, he's great in that. And I think The Fifth Element was one of those movies that it came out and nobody appreciated it until years later.
Right. Now you see every convention, tons of cosplay of it. I think you're forgetting his best movie he ever had.
Hudson Hawk?
Yeah, don't forget Hudson Hawk.
Let's hear your take on Hudson Hawk.
I love Hudson Hawk. I believe it to be Bruce Willis's best work of all time. I believe if it came out a little bit later, I think it'd be much more of a hit.
You do realize this was a huge flop when it came out.
I know. I'm aware. I'm aware.
Even with the video game.
I'm aware. I love it. Just everything. We looked at the actual cover art yesterday, and the whole idea of it just screams the 90s. Just the text and font they use and the stylizing, and a lot of it was a pretty big cast for the time.
Yeah.
My favorite character, all the agents were named after candy bars. You had Almond Joy, you had Snickers, you had, I believe, Kit Kat, and Butterfinger. And Butterfinger is the new the remake Leatherface, Andrew Bryniarski.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so that's kind of cool. 20 years later on, he's another character I love. Butterfinger becomes Leatherface.
I should go back and watch.
You should.
Give Hudson Hawk a second chance.
It's a good one.
Because I saw it, I think I went to see it in theaters when it came out.
Oh, yeah?
That's the only time I've seen it.
Did you leave sad?
I don't think so. I thought it was enjoyable when I went to see it. But I do remember at the time, like, all the bad press that it got as well. Bonfire of the Vanities.
Never saw that. I remember hearing the name. I never saw it.
That's interesting. Mm-hmm. That's an interesting movie.
Yeah.
That was a very Hollywood movie, though.
Oh, yeah, right.
You know, that was very... Like, Hollywood likes to make movies about themselves.
Yeah.
And Bonfire of the Vanities was pretty much that.
Yeah.
What else is Bruce Willis done? Oh, The Sixth Sense.
Oh, of course, yeah. The M. Night Shyamalan train.
Not really an action movie. Well, neither was Bonfire of the Vanities.
Yeah.
But
that followed by Unbreakable, which is more of an action movie, I would say. Unbreakable is.
I love Unbreakable.
Mm-hmm.
I think his character, what a great... Like, I didn't know it was a superhero movie when I went to see it.
Yeah.
And to just see, like, a real-life depiction of what a superhero could be in real life and a supervillain, once again, with Sam Jackson. Unbreakable's fantastic.
Can I just say, if you're a fan of M. Night Shyamalan or Unbreakable, you should go see Split in theaters now. Can we say that?
I do want to see that.
Go see Split. Don't forget Armageddon. Do not forget Armageddon.
I was just about to say, then Bruce Willis stars in one of the premier action movies of the 1990s, complete with the soundtrack by Aerosmith. He stars along Ben Affleck. Gosh, who else in that movie?
I can't. It's
Liv Tyler.
Right, the Animal Crackers.
Billy Bob Thornton.
So I get this and Pearl Harbor mixed up a lot. I know that's bad. I really do.
With
was it Ben Affleck?
Well, yeah, he's in that.
Yeah,
that's another Michael Bay movie.
Yeah, exactly.
Michael Bay's.
Their style gets me so mixed up.
I know I'm forgetting names that I shouldn't.
It's fine. We have a lot of names in our head right now.
But Armageddon. Billy Bob Thornton sends a bunch of astronauts to destroy a meteor or asteroid that's headed to Earth because they drill. Yeah, they're drillers. They're blue collar guys.
Yeah.
If anybody can destroy an asteroid, it's these guys.
And they're expendable.
Pretty much.
They're disposable. Pretty much.
Pretty much. And they put him on a space shuttle and send him to space.
Yeah.
And land it on an asteroid. And Bruce Willis dies.
Hey.
Sorry.
Jeez.
I don't want to close my eyes. Man, that was a phenomenon that summer.
Oh, yeah. That was huge.
Was that 98?
Yeah.
Yeah. It doesn't seem like that long ago. That was 20 years ago.
Almost 20 years ago. Wow.
And then he goes on and makes a movie with Kevin Smith.
Yeah.
Cop Out.
Yeah.
Which,
if any fan of Kevin Smith, you know how bad of an actor Bruce Willis is, at least currently, to work with. And maybe not for everyone, but for a personality like Kevin Smith, it's a tough sell.
Now, to tie this back to one more, if you haven't seen Looper, go see Looper as well.
Oh, I love Looper.
Looper is great.
Didn't think I would like that. I had no desire to see it, but I did, and I loved it.
Looper is really good. And also the Red series. There's Red and Red 2, which is kind of like older actors.
Yeah.
Like Morgan Freeman's in it. John Malkovich is in it. Red and Red 2 are pretty good. And Bruce Willis is kind of the star of that. Oh, he's also in the G.I. Joe movie.
And look who's talking.
Oh, yeah. Can't forget that. But to tie Bruce Willis to our first episode, there's rumors that he is going to be in a remake of Death Wish.
Really?
As Paul Kersey.
Really?
Yeah. There's no way it's the Death Wish like it was, though. There's no way.
No.
There's no way.
No.
Do we hit all the Bruce Willis high points?
I think all the Bruce Willis, yeah, I think so.
He was in a video game, and supposedly Bruce Willis is the first actor to ever act in a video game. It was 1998's Apocalypse, and he actually did voice work and film scenes that was digitized for the video game.
Right.
Is that true? You being the game expert.
Yeah, that is true. So they've had FMVs before, the full motion videos, where they would capture actual audio and video of a real actor and put that in a terrible quality to games, but no one had been digitized before to use his body mold and his likeness and put inside the video game. Yeah.
And after you listen to this, here's a fun Bruce Willis game to play. Sit down and think about how many Bruce Willis movies you can think of that have numbers in them, such as 12 Monkeys, The Fifth Element.
Oh, weird.
Huh. It's more than 10.
Really?
The Sixth Sense.
Oh, weird. Huh.
Yeah.
You're right.
It's more than 10.
Wow.
That's all I'll tell you.
That's weird.
More than 10, less than 20.
Okay.
Another star that really came into his own in the 1990s.
Do sequel numbers count for the numbers?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. You can't talk about 90s action without Will Smith.
You can't.
He was like Mr. 4th of July weekend.
Deservedly so.
Through most of the 90s.
At first, I thought he was just a flash in the pan, but in the past decade or so, I've learned to appreciate some Mr. Smith.
Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Well, first, he had a fantastic recording career.
He did, yeah. He was the Fresh Prince.
DJ Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince.
Right.
Parents just don't understand.
They don't. Summertime, you know.
Oh, Summertime's great. That's a good one. And then he went on to do TV with the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air that was on for many seasons on NBC.
Great show.
And then I guess one of his early movies was 6 Degrees of Separation.
Oh, yeah. Forgot about that.
That had to be one of his first.
Yeah.
And then just kind of became an action star of the 90s.
I guess Bad Boys was the first go at that. Once again,
Bad Boys,
Michael Bay.
Michael Bay.
Yeah.
Along with
Martin Lawrence.
Yeah. And then did Bad Boys 2. One of the few sequels that he does.
Yeah. And 3.
Yeah. He does the Bad Boys sequels.
Yeah.
And supposedly there's another Bad Boys movie coming out. Yeah.
I only saw 1 and 2. I wouldn't mind to see the third one.
The Bad Boys series, the Independence Day movie.
Mm-hmm.
Luckily, he avoided the sequel to that.
I think he could have saved it.
You think so?
I think the Jeff Goldblum and Will Smith combo could have saved that movie.
The Men in Black series.
Right.
He's been in all 3 Men in Black movies.
Love that so much.
I Am Legend.
Uh-huh.
He kind of did the post-apocalyptic solo movie.
Yeah.
And I Am Legend.
Right.
I, Robot. He likes I in his names.
He does, yeah.
I, Will Smith. And then went on to do more serious movies like The Pursuit of Happiness and Concussion.
7 Pounds.
7 Pounds. Oh,
yeah.
That's a sad movie.
That's a wrencher.
Pursuit of Happiness is pretty hard to watch.
You've seen Hancock before, right?
Hancock's good.
I love Hancock.
Hancock is really good.
Hancock's my favorite comic book movie.
I think Will Smith pretty much defines 90s action almost.
Yeah.
And what's interesting about Will Smith is that not only for a lot of his movies, like Men in Black, Wild Wild West, Hitch, when he did Hitch, he would do soundtrack songs to go along. So,
right. Oh, yeah.
You know, that summer you're going to see the movie in the theater and you're listening to Will Smith on the radio.
It's a win-win.
That is the 90s.
Yeah.
Will Smith movies in the theaters, Will Smith on the radio.
Right.
Getting jiggy with it.
Now, is he still deep into Scientology right now? Is that a thing for him?
Oh, I didn't know he was into Scientology.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Mm-hmm.
I really?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because that kind of conflicts with like some things that he's said publicly about his beliefs.
Oh, really?
I don't know. I'll have to look into that.
He was for a while. I'm not sure if he still is, but he definitely was for a while.
He has said that he based Captain Stephen Hiller, the hero of Independence Day.
Well, I would say Randy Quaid is, but go on.
Maybe. He based that character on Harrison Ford's Han Solo.
Really?
From the Star Wars movies.
Okay.
He tried to channel Harrison Ford.
Could almost see that kind of a cocky pilot. Kind of see that.
Yeah. He's also in the Guinness Book of World Records.
Why is that?
Coolest guy of the 90s? No, not really. For making the most public appearances in 12 hours. When doing the promotional stuff for the premieres for Hitch in 2005, he walked the red carpet and introduced the film in Manchester, Birmingham, and finally for the premiere in London, England.
Wow.
So in 12 hours, he did, he did more appearances than that. But that's just to show you how much he was traveling.
Jeez.
But he almost had to use airplane math to make it happen.
If I knew how that area worked, I'd be more impressed. That's crazy.
I've got, in 2002, while promoting Ali, Will Smith appeared on Charlie Rose show, the PBS show. And if there's one thing about Will Smith, you can say that he's driven in the work that he's done. And here's Will Smith talking about that.
I learned very young.
From parents?
From my parents, absolutely. That you don't try to build a wall. You don't set out to build a wall. You don't say, I'm going to build the biggest, baddest, greatest wall that's ever been built. You don't start there. You say, I'm going to lay this brick as perfectly as a brick can be laid. There will not be one brick on the face of the earth that's going to be laid better than this brick that I'm going to lay in this next 10 minutes. Yeah. And you do that every single day. And soon you have a wall. Yeah. And I think psychologically, the advantage that gives me over a lot of people that I have been in competition with in different situations is it's difficult to take the first step when you look how big the task is. The task is never huge to me.
Yeah, Donald Trump, you don't start out saying you're going to build a fantastic wall. But it's some good insight to because you can't argue with the success of Will Smith.
Right.
Let's talk about other icons of the 90s. Steven Seagal. I got to be honest with you, I'm not a big fan of Steven Seagal.
No, not at all. Not a fan at all. The only movie I've seen in drive-in theaters is Under Siege 2, and I regret it.
Steven Seagal is on deadly ground.
Not a fan. It doesn't do it for me.
Hard for justice.
Not a fan.
The Under Siege series, and again, there's rumors that another Under Siege movie is in the works. Above
another
the Law,
one, really?
On Deadly Ground.
Oh man!
Box office hits through the 1990s.
How? I mean, his personality itself wasn't that good.
I don't know. You can't deny that Steven Seagal is a action icon.
Yeah, he's a name. He's a face. Sure, I'll give it to him. His ponytail.
Yeah, it's funny. He agreed to do Under Siege 2.
Yeah.
If Warner Brothers allowed him to direct On Deadly Ground.
Really?
Like he used that bargaining. Like I want to be a director. I'm Steven Seagal. For 20 years I've been a cop, but now I want to be a director.
He's terrible.
Here is something very redeeming about Steven Seagal, though, that most people don't know. Because most people feel like we do. Like Steven Seagal, whatever.
Yeah.
His entire career, he has regularly visited children's hospitals.
Really?
Just on the weekend. Just go visit children's hospitals. Now, one can make the argument now they don't know who he is when he shows up.
Right.
But there was a point when, Steven Seagal visiting a children's hospital was huge.
Yeah.
He continues to do it today and has gone on record and stated that he will never stop doing that.
Really?
He will never stop visiting children in hospitals until the day he dies.
No, he owns American, Russian, and Serbian citizenships. I know that.
Yeah.
That's kind of...
And apparently he was like a cop in Florida. Or a volunteer cop. Or something. I don't know. He had that reality show on E!
Yeah.
Or A&E. Seems more like an E! show.
Yeah,
but
it does. Yeah,
it's
it
on
does.
A&E.
Or like a... Yeah.
Are there any action guys from the 90s that we've missed? Well, Jackie Chan. We should talk about Jackie Chan.
Yeah, we kind of spoke of him earlier. I mean, that comparison to Bruce Lee and the Kung Fu and how his career kind of evolved. Not into comedy, but a little more lighthearted action movies.
Yeah.
That's fine.
He was a stunt coordinator with Bruce Lee.
Right.
It seems like if you're going to have success in the martial arts and the movies, you have to work with Bruce Lee at some point.
Right, yeah. We haven't talked about Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson yet. I would say...
But that's more modern.
As far as today. Yeah, but he started in the late 90s. He had some Scorpion King love.
I was thinking more of like Jason Statham. Probably.
He's
but
modern
once
as well.
again, his
first movie ever was 2000. I mean...
Yeah. Was it 2000?
Snatch was, yeah.
I guess you're right.
Yeah.
That is a good movie.
That's one of my favorites.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's the one where he drives the car?
The Italian Job? Was he in that one?
No.
You're thinking about you're not talking about Crank, you're talking about the Transport? No.
The Transporter.
Okay.
Yeah,
He's always car scenes in like all three of those
Yeah,
sequels.
Crank.
Yeah, don't forget Crank.
I remember watching the trailer for Crank 2.
But The Rock did have action movies in the 90s. Which,
Yeah. I mean, it's hard for me to see The Rock as an action icon because I see The Rock from 1990s WWE.
Yeah.
But when you look at the money that his movies make, you have to recognize him as probably the biggest action star today.
Yeah.
He probably is.
We're talking about the origins. At least we can talk a little bit about the evolution and where it went, and it went to Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson.
It did.
It did, yeah.
I mean, he was it the Scorpion King?
Yeah.
Where he barely spoke.
Right. That was his first...
The Mummy 2.
Right.
He was in that.
His first role
as the Scorpion King.
And he had the standalone...
And he barely spoke in that.
Oh.
And then he actually had dialogue in the Scorpion King.
Yeah.
And then it was a slow progression. I mean, he did the Scorpion King and then did nothing for a while. And it wasn't until he started doing the Disney movies when he made Race to Witch Mountain.
Yeah.
And then there was the other one where he was the football player. Tooth Fairy.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then that kind of, for whatever reason, then people recognized The Rock.
Was it Gridiron Gang where he was a football coach?
Yes.
It was? Yeah.
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 Yeah. And now, San Andreas was a huge hit last year.
Yeah. We can speak of, I don't know if, I had this on my list, but I'm not sure if he counts. But to me, Tom Cruise is a borderline action guy.
He really is. Nobody runs better in a movie than Tom Cruise.
That's true. I mean, think about it.
Since The Firm.
Yeah.
When he's running across the bridges of Memphis, Tennessee.
Right.
I mean, he just runs.
Yeah.
Like, if you want to look good running, strive to look like Tom Cruise running in a movie.
I mean, the Mission Impossible series alone puts him on the list.
Red Light, Green Light.
Yeah.
It was when that, again, based off a TV property, taken seriously and did really well.
Yeah.
That first Mission Impossible movie in 1996, which kind of tied to, with John Voight's character in there, kind of tied to the TV series because John Voight was Phelps from the TV series in that movie. And then just the Mission Impossible movies kind of became their own thing with Tom Cruise. I think they continue to get better and better.
Yeah, I haven't seen the past two, so I'm not really sure.
Especially once they brought Simon Pegg in.
Oh, yeah.
He's a great addition to the Mission Impossible movies.
I miss Ving Rhames. Just in general in life, I miss Ving Rhames.
Ving Rhames is another...
What happened to him?
He's not...
He's alive, right?
Oh, yeah, he's still alive.
Okay.
I would say he's a heavy, but not necessarily an action guy.
Well, that made me think with the first Mission Impossible. I just thought of Ving Rhames in general.
Right.
I miss him.
But he was the computer expert.
Yeah.
You think a big muscled up guy like Ving Rhames would be the muscle, but he's not. He's Then he was the bodyguard in Striptease.
Right. And he was in, of course, in Pulp Fiction.
Uh-huh. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Don't forget that.
You mentioned Bruce Willis and his political allegiance.
A lot of these guys have it, yeah.
For every Republican presidential candidate since Bruce Willis has been relevant, he has spoken positively for, except one, Bob Dole, because Bob Dole came out and spoke against Striptease that starred Demi Moore, his wife at the time.
Makes sense.
And, you remember I promised you last week that there's a connection between Die Hard and Walker, Texas Ranger?
Yeah.
Walker's partner on the show.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember the character's name?
I know. I have the visual. I don't remember his name, though.
His partner on the show
Uh-huh.
was also one of the bad guys in Die Hard.
Really?
He was part of the team at the Nakatomi Tower.
Weird.
Mm-hmm.
Huh. Small world. Small action world.
We haven't mentioned Jet Li.
True. Yeah.
Jet Li has had a fantastic career in
Right.
the action movie genre. That's since the late 90s through today.
Mm-hmm.
Liam Neeson.
Yeah.
Started with the Darkman movies.
Yeah.
In the 90s, then won an Oscar for Schindler's List,
Mm-hmm.
but then has kind of gone back to his action roots. It started with the Star Wars movie.
Yeah. Yeah.
As Qui-Gon Jinn.
The worst Jedi Master of all time.
And then he's got the Taken movies,
Right.
which seem to be the same movie over and over again.
And there's a series based off of that. Did you see it?
Oh, yeah. It's coming
I
on
saw
now.
a commercial last night for it. I'm like, oh, my. Seriously.
Yeah. Yeah. Taken, the
It's
series.
based off of the Taken movie, friend. What?
I do love that first Taken movie.
Never saw.
But he's just so matter of fact when his daughter calls and tells him all the weird things that are going down.
Yeah.
He's just like, okay, here's what you need to know. You're about to be kidnapped. Here's what I want you to do. And she's like, what? And he's like, yeah, they are going to take you. And explains how to leave him breadcrumbs to find her.
That's from the classic. Cool. I don't know who you are, but I'll find you and I'll kill you line.
Yeah.
Never saw it, but I've seen the meme tons of times.
Possess a certain set of skills.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wesley Snipes.
Yeah, he was almost on my list.
Wesley Snipes
had a lot of good stuff, a lot of good runs.
A lot of action stuff through the 90s, through today, especially the Blade movies.
Right.
Passenger 57.
Yeah.
Always been on black.
Yeah. I forgot about that. John Wayne wasn't on my list, but he should make it.
Oh, John Wayne is like the original action hero.
Yeah, but we never spoke much of him at all.
From the Westerns.
Yeah.
Yeah. True Grit's fantastic.
That's a good one. Hondo, kind of a Hondo guy.
Mm-hmm. The Cowboys.
Yeah.
Is a great one.
Mm-hmm. I mean, his list, if you look up his filmography, good Lord.
The Shootist is my favorite.
I've never seen that one.
Either The Shootist or The Cowboys are my two favorite John Wayne movies. Ron Howard's in The Shootist.
Really?
Mm-hmm. A young Ron Howard. Going a little more modern, I would say Hugh Jackman is probably a standout action hero.
I can't think of anything besides Wolverine, but
From
you're
his
right.
portrayal of Wolverine alone.
Yeah, yeah.
So let's talk about today in 2017 when you look at who your action heroes today, and let's look at the evolution from John Wayne in the early days and even before John Wayne with the Westerns through the 80s and then the 90s and then 2000, 2010 to now. We have The Rock. You have to put Vin Diesel on that list. Just this weekend, XXX, The Return of Xander Cage is in theaters.
You can do that.
He has established himself in the Fast and the Furious franchise.
The Pitch Black series as well. There's Riddick, you do that.
Yeah. And then, I mean, he has done stuff like The Pacifier along the way. But then Arnold made Twins.
Yeah, yeah.
And he's Groot.
Yeah, he is.
I am Groot.
He's still Baby Groot, right?
He's still Baby Groot.
Okay.
Which just seems like, that's not his voice. It can't be his voice. So I think you have to, if you're going to list the top action stars of 2017, Vin Diesel has to be on that list. Like it or not, he's established himself over the last 20 years. Same thing with The Rock, even in the Fast and the Furious movies.
Well, I think The Rock for sure.
Rock.
I think he's the number one action star right now. I would say so.
I would agree with that.
I don't think money-wise, I'm sure his contracts are the biggest, I would think.
Gerard Butler.
Yeah.
I would put him on that list.
Russell Crowe was I know he's not so modern anymore, but he almost made my 90s-ish list as well.
I think Russell Crowe should be on there.
Yeah.
I think Russell Crowe deserves to be on there.
Yeah.
Especially when you start looking at like the Gladiator films.
Right.
And though I'm not a fan, but a lot of money made at the box office, a lot of fans.
Chris Pratt is becoming a member on the list.
I think Chris Pratt is, especially after The Lost World and the original Guardians of the Galaxy, you have to call Chris Pratt an action guy.
Yeah. Chris Pine is coming close. Our new Captain James T. Kirk. He's in the new Wonder Woman movie, it seems. I've seen him in some other action movies.
He was in a Jack Ryan movie last year.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, very young Jack Ryan.
Yeah. So if we're doing that, would you pick Matt Damon strictly for the
Bourne movies?
Yeah, would you pick him just for those?
I think Matt Damon kind of goes on there for the Bourne movies, and The Martian has some action elements to it, though it's more of a thinking man's movie.
So Daniel Craig as James Bond.
Daniel Craig definitely is James Bond. I would also put Michelle Rodriguez on there.
Yeah.
Through the Resident Evil movies. She was also in, what was she in?
Most of the Fast and Furious movies.
The Fast and Furious movies.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
I think Michelle Rodriguez has to go on there. I think, like we mentioned before, when she was in The Fifth Element, Mila Jovovich, just for the Resident Evil movies over the last few years. Kate Beckinsale with the Underworld movies has to be on there. So not only have you seen the evolution from grizzled older guys
like Bronson and John Wayne,
as your action heroes to the Chris Pratts and the Gerard Butlers, which Olympus Has Fallen is really good.
Really?
I watched London Has Fallen last week. Not as good. With Gerard Butler and Morgan Freeman. And Aaron Eckhart.
That's what I thought he was in there. Yeah.
He's the president in both those movies. But Robert Downey Jr., I think, has to go on that list, too.
You think so?
Just for the Marvel movies and Sherlock Holmes.
Mm-hmm. That's true, yeah. Sherlock makes sense.
Yeah, he really became an action guy in his 40s.
Yeah, it can be done.
Yeah, and in his 40s, he became an action guy.
Look at Bronson.
Tommy Lee Jones really kind of did the same thing, too.
Yeah.
You know, when he did The Fugitive, and then he was, like you said, Two-Face.
Yeah.
And he's done some action stuff. No Country for Old Men isn't really an action movie.
Like an office cop.
Yeah, kind of. Which is interesting to see.
Yeah.
Anyone we're forgetting?
I think that may be it. I'm trying to think here.
As far as today.
Yeah. I'm sure there are more we're forgetting, but those are the top guys, I would say.
You know, we didn't mention Kurt Russell. He's going to be in the next Guardians movie. Kurt Russell with the Escape movies. Escape from L.A., Escape from New York.
Yeah.
Big Trouble in Little China.
Yeah.
Tango and Cash.
Okay, I'll put him on there.
Kurt Russell has to be on the action icon.
I don't agree, but he's on there.
What's the last great action movie that you saw?
Ooh, that's tough.
That wasn't a comic book movie.
Right. Does Creed count?
Okay. How about an action movie with a lot of gunplay?
Ooh, one that I loved, The Kingsman. I loved The Kingsman.
Yeah.
Love that movie.
Kingsman should be on that list.
I only saw the movie because it was free. We had a brand new theater in town, and they had a free night. You go up there and you watch what movie they give you, the movie you watch, but it was free. And so you just sat down, shut up, and watched the movie, and it was fantastic.
Yeah.
Love The Kingsman.
Last one I saw was John Wick.
I need to see that.
I would say that's the last great action movie that I've seen.
Yeah.
Was John Wick with Keanu Reeves.
Right.
Which we probably should mention, too.
I hear it's great.
Strictly for the Matrix movies.
Right, he belongs. And Speed. Speed's good.
Oh, yeah. Whoa. There's none of that in John Wick.
Really?
Yeah. It was a pleasure watching him in that movie.
I just want to see the dog die.
It happens.
DoesTheDogDie.com tells me the dog does die.
Did you look it up?
Yeah.
Whatever you do, don't look up, was it A Dog's Purpose?
Really? Oh, yeah, I heard about it.
That's just about a dog that dies over and over again.
Heard about that.
But then there's some controversy with that.
Yeah, PETA got the TMZ video, and they're getting all mad about that.
Because apparently they threw a dog in the water and almost killed it.
Yeah.
In a movie that's supposed to honor dogs, let's almost kill a dog while making the movie.
You know how it works.
I guess. Well, if you think we forgot anybody or didn't mention... didn't give anyone their due diligence. Like, I really don't feel like we gave Sigourney Weaver her due diligence.
Well, she has just the Alien franchise, right?
No, she was in the Ghostbusters movies.
Yeah, as an action. Okay. If she gave birth to Oscar, that's action-y, right?
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Let us know. Like, someone's going to say, like, we never... man.
I'm sure they're allowed
we didn't mention Jeff Goldblum hardly, and he did Independence Day and the Jurassic Park movies.
But in both of those roles, he was very un-action-y. He was the brains of both of those projects.
No, he's being chased by a big dinosaur.
But he's still the brains.
Yes. Must go faster.
I don't think he's action-y. I don't see him as action-y.
Are there any action movies that are coming out that we're looking forward to in the next month or so? At the time that we record this.
That aren't comic book movies? No.
Logan.
Right.
But it's a comic book movie.
That'd be fantastic.
But that second trailer for Logan, man. The fact that they tie the X-Men comics into the Logan movie.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
I want to see how they do that.
Yeah, I'm sold.
So the comic books are based on reality.
Yeah. It's like a document. Like it's
Stan
a war document.
Lee's a historian.
Yeah. Kind of true.
You can check us out online at adamandjp.com.
On Twitter at adamandjp and on facebook.com/adamandjp as well.
And tell us what you think about your action idols. Shoot us something on Twitter. Use a hashtag that's fun, like Action Heroes.
Yeah, do that.
Hashtag Action Heroes.
That works.
Tell us who your favorite action hero is.
Come on.
And why. In the characters that Twitter allows you to use. I'm Jay Patrick. That's Adam.
This is the Adam and JP Show.
Face Sealer.
This has been a production of the Adam and JP family of on-demand talk radio.
AdamandJP.com.
Right now.
This has been a broadcast of the ESO Network, your station for all things geek, classic, current, and beyond. Be part of the crew at ESONetwork.com.